We finally got our official multiplayer reveal for Halo Infinite, and I could not possibly be any happier. I feel like this is the reveal for this game I've actually been waiting for years, and I am just super excited. I could not be any happier right now. We got a quick trailer, some screenshots, and some blog posts from 343 and Xbox that we are going to be breaking down in today's video, and surprisingly we did get another quick look at campaign during the Bethesda Xbox conference, which I am going to go ahead and start out with. When it comes to campaign, we really didn't get too much, but for what they did show, I thought it was just about perfect. Tonally, a very bleak atmosphere going on with the entire thing. We don't really know when this takes place in terms of the game's timeline, but I would assume obviously somewhere towards the beginning, and it is just Chief moving through Covenant and Marine bodies, and especially in this cutscene compared to how we've seen in a lot of the other Infinite stuff, Chief looks incredible. Especially the textures on his armor just looked insanely good. And of course we see a new AI, now being referred to as the Weapon by the blog post, and I guess a new Cortana, because she's obviously very reminiscent of Cortana, but we're not really sure what role she's going to play in the story. It seems like she, the pilot, and Chief are all going to be kind of our central characters. Obviously Chief's the protagonist, but the pilot and it seems like the Weapon now will both be at Chief's aid for a lot of the story. And I think this is a pretty cool idea. I'm really curious to see how they kind of bridge the gap between Halo 5 Guardians and Halo Infinite. Obviously the created storyline's not what we really want to see from Halo, but if they can kind of take elements from that in an interesting direction and combine it with the Banished stuff that's going to be in Infinite, I think if they do that very well, Infinite's campaign and story can be very, very memorable, and that's all I really want to see. And at this point, it was a very brief glimpse, but I just loved it. I thought it was beautiful, and I just want to experience the story really, really badly now. That's all I really have to say about campaign. Thought the cutscene was very good, want to see more. Moving on to our first look at Halo Infinite multiplayer, what we are here to see. With that trailer, first of all, looking graphically insane. Compared to the reveal we got last year, I thought this trailer looked absolutely beautiful. Obviously it's campaign and multiplayer a little bit different, but I think once we all saw the little renders from the first Inside Infinite from last year about how the multiplayer Spartans looked, I think we all knew that the game was probably going to be in good hands, and thankfully, at least from a graphical and artistic standpoint, it looks so good and just such a step up from last year. A beautiful art style, once again graphically very impressive, and just the trailer was non-stop action and really exciting. Like I said, we did get a Waypoint blog that hit on a few details of Halo Infinite's multiplayer, starting of course with equipment, and the blog post says, in addition to returning favorites and brand new weapons, Halo Infinite's sandbox is punctuated by the addition of Halo 3-esque equipment, game-changing limited use abilities that players will scavenge for during a match. In today's trailer, you'll catch the first glimpse of two additional pieces of equipment, starting with the Threat Sensor, which is an area of effect support device that periodically pulses and illuminates enemy players within its radius, while the second piece of equipment, named the Repulsor, can be used to deflect projectiles and anything else that gets in the way. So these are both pretty interesting. Obviously, we can see in the trailer the Repulsor, which I had no idea what that was when I was watching the trailer during the premiere, but it looks kind of cool, and I don't really have too much to say about equipment in general in this game, other than the fact that I appreciate that it's there as opposed to Spartan abilities, because that kind of stuff we'll talk about in a sec, but I think the Repulsor looks cool, and especially that kind of little, the threat sensor thing they have, I think could also be pretty cool, very reminiscent of, I think that was Titanfall 2, had a piece of equipment that was very similar. So like I said, I'm just here for equipment. I think it's a great decision to bring it back, and the best kind of middle ground they could reach for this new game. In the blog post, they also mentioned the new Razorback vehicle, which we did see in a cannon fodder a while ago. Not too much to say about that. And now for one of the biggest things in this multiplayer that they never even touched on in the conference, but it's going to be a brand new feature called the Academy. Under the mentorship of Spartan Commander Lorette, the Academy offers players the opportunity to hone their skills and get better acclimated with the environments of Halo Infinite. Recruits will be able to dial in their marksmanship skills at the target range or jump right in customizable training skirmishes and square off against AI-controlled bots. Training mode lets you configure specific loadouts, deploy opponent bots of various skill levels, and practice on your own terms. Bots can also be reconfigured in custom games to tailor the experience and even fill in roster spots for MIE Fireteam members. So that is insane. That sounds awesome. I'm really excited for this. It sounds a lot like us wanting AI bots in Forge for years, and I just think this idea could be insanely cool. I remember, when I first started even, getting into Halo with Reach and 3, I thought it'd be so cool if in Forge you could spawn in just, AI bots to fight against and train against. And although that's not really in Forge here, this is a completely brand new thing, And this is the kind of stuff that I want to see from a new Halo game. Features that the community never really explicitly asked for, but that are a welcome addition, and it's original things that 343 is doing to try and make a lot of new players get more used to Halo and the Halo Infinite experience. So I think this is a very cool idea, and I really just want to see more of this. Maybe we'll see it tomorrow in a little overview I'll talk about later, but I think this sounds like a very cool idea, and I am all here for it. The blog post continues, at the core of Halo Infinite's multiplayer offering is the arena, which once again pits two teams of 4 Spartans against each other in a variety of new and returning modes. Halo's arena has and continues to be defined by fair starts and teams working closely to control key areas of a map while utilizing the sandbox in the most impactful manner. So that is so good to hear. Infinite's arena multiplayer, from what they're saying, is all about scavenging and finding external factors to the player. So obviously, unlike Halo 5, there's not going to be Spartan abilities, where if a weapon or if, say, Spartan Charge in Halo 5 was poorly implemented, which I would say it was, they couldn't really do anything about that because they had already made all the maps be based around Spartan abilities that every player had. But the fact that there aren't Spartan abilities anymore, and that we're just going to have these, equipment and weapons, if one of those is broken, then they can easily just remove it from a map, and problem is most likely solved. It's a lot more simpler, and I just think Halo, as I think most people in the community would agree, should be an experience revolving around the sandbox, and they clearly have mentioned that time and time again with this game, so they understand that, and I am all here for it once again. Continuing on, when Halo Infinite releases this holiday, it will also usher in the long-awaited return of Big Team Battle. This classic series stalwart is back, but bigger and better than ever, supporting not 12, not 16, but 24 players on large vehicle-friendly maps, tapping into the full extent of the sandbox. BTB is the epitome of the Halo experience and the ultimate Spartan battle fantasy, with pelicans swooping in to deploy fresh vehicles, weapon ordnance dropping from the sky, and tactical updates from Commander Lorette. Big Team Battle is the wild, fun social experience that cranks everything up to 11, and we'll be sharing more details later this summer. So, Big Team Battle is back. Unsurprisingly, they know the massive screw-up they had in Halo 5 with it not being there on launch, and it seems like this one is actually kind of interesting, because it's not just, Halo 3, Halo 4 Big Team Battle. This seems like it's bringing in some elements of Warzone, interestingly enough, which I think, years ago before Halo Infinite was even announced, a lot of us just assumed that Warzone in some way would be back because we assumed the rec system in some way would be back because of all the money it made for Microsoft. We're still not really sure if that's the case, but it seems like a lot of parts of Warzone, or at least things inspired by Warzone, are going to be present in this new Big Team Battle. Like, instead of Palmer, we have the new commander who's going to be talking to you during the match, and Pelicans dropping stuff off, kind of like calling in wreck stuff, and the fact that Pelicans would drop you off at the beginning of Warzone, and it seems pretty interesting. And although Big Team Battle is a social experience, I do still want it to be relatively balanced. So when they're talking about Pelicans swooping in and deploying vehicles and weapon ordinances and all that kind of stuff, I'm maybe a little apprehensive about that. I'm sure it'll probably be implemented well, and it's not too big a deal because Big Team Battle, like I said, is a social experience at the core. I still want it to be relatively balanced, so we'll just have to see how that's implemented, but I have faith that it will be well done. In addition to ranked and social matchmaking playlists, players will also experience limited time seasonal events with special rewards on the line. Console and PC players will play together via crossplay, while support for cross progression means you can move freely from one platform to the other and keep working on your Spartan's journey. Xbox Series X owners will also enjoy up to 120 FPS on supported hardware, and PC players will have a wide variety of configurable settings spanning frame rate to graphics to keybinds and more. Of course, online is not the only way to enjoy multiplayer. Halo Infinite will also support split screen on Xbox and LAN play via a PC local server. Sounds perfect, seasonal events are cool, kind of gives players a different incentive to play if there's certain rewards that you can only get for a certain amount of time. Makes sense, I'm all here for it. Also, in this update, we get the most beautiful screenshot I have ever seen. Look at this. This is, oh my god, this is the most, pure Halo multiplayer, look at it. It's insane. Customization, which we'll get to in a sec, seems stellar. I'm still loving the Mark 7, and especially this helmet on the right over here just looks awesome. And although these visors, they may be animated, I mean, they're wild looking just in general, but they also may be animated. We'll have to see. I think they touched on that in a different blog post, but just look at this screenshot. It is perfect. Perfect Halo. Speaking of customization, they do also mention the Armor Hall, which will offer more piece-by-piece customization than any prior Halo game, including everything from helmets, to visors, to gloves, interestingly enough, and shoulder pads, and more. Customization also does not stop at armor. You'll be able to earn and apply coatings to weapons and vehicles as well, and that helpful and humorous voice you hear in the trailer, it's one example of one of the new personal AI that you'll be able to equip during multiplayer matches. They also help capture objectives as pictured below. So that sounds phenomenal. Gloves? That is something that is so cool. I'm super excited about that. I am curious kind of about these personal AIs. They seem kind of inspired, at least to me, how they were used in the trailer by the announcer voices in Halo 5, but just kind of the next progression step for that. I'm curious, could be cool. They also continue to fully support our goals for expanded player expression in Halo Infinite. The team has designed a new friend and foe system for multiplayer games. At a high level, this functions as an outline system that uses different colors to denote friends and foes. These colors are configurable for accessibility purposes, and whatever colors you assign will match your scoreboard, team bases, and team flags. This is not depicted in the reveal trailer due to its more cinematic nature, but we'll have more details to share down the road, and Halo insiders will be able to check it out during first-hand flighting later this summer. So this isn't super specific, but obviously the Spartans in the trailer were not red and blue. I know we don't know if part of it could have been a free-for-all match, but especially even in the big team battle when it was two teams fighting against each other, the Spartans were not conventional Halo red versus blue. And obviously the coding seemed to be a huge part of this game, and as we're talking about here, they are really getting invested in player customization, which I think is good, but I've always really liked the, classic Halo red versus blue. So, I don't know, it's a weird balance to make. I do like the ability to show off your shaders more, and I don't know if this is how it's going to be in the final build of the game, or I don't know if it's going to be with this outline system, something similar to Crucible and Destiny, where obviously every player looks different, but there are still two teams. Even though they said it's not in the trailer, I believe we do get a brief look at it in the trailer. It's kind of hard to judge, but right here, this looks like it's that same system. Or maybe it's a pre-alpha version of the system that they're not really wanting to clarify yet. We're really unsure about this. I really don't know how to feel. We don't have enough information, but we definitely are going to have to wait and see. But I think this could be cool. I just want it to be implemented well and not really take away from... I want it to still feel like Halo, basically. I want your two defined teams, but yet I still want player customization to be at the forefront. So it's a weird balancing act, but we'll see. They do hit on flighting later in the blog post by saying later this summer we still plan for limited pre-release technical previews with Halo insiders to help us stress test and improve the game on the road to launch. This is news I would have loved to see be announced today, also during the thing, because they really didn't get enough time during the conference to actually say everything I feel like that they should have said, but we'll have to see when this flight actually happens. Because I get with everything with the pandemic and everything that's happened, there would be delays, but this is really, really late. Assuming the game actually keeps its release date of November, maybe, even though they have Forza Horizon 5 releasing in November, so do they want two big Xbox heavy hitters releasing around that time? I don't know. Assuming the game keeps its release date of probably October, November, then in that case the flight would only be around for... or it would only come out 3 or 4 months before the game releases, which is not enough time. I mean, that's not even, obviously people use this example, but the Halo 5 beta was a full year almost before Halo 5 released. So, I don't know, it's understandable, but I mean, I think most people would agree that it's a little disappointing, and that we definitely should have had the flighting by now. But again, obviously, real world stuff is going on that is making it a lot more difficult to get that flight out. Still excited, I'm just a little disappointed. Then they just give a little closing statement, and that's about it when it comes to the blog post. So most of that, I think, actually sounds incredible. I said this at the beginning, but today with all this Infinite information, I, know when I went into this morning, I needed to be sold on free-to-play multiplayer, and I think they did it. At least, they're super close. I'm still a little curious about a few things, and I have a few concerns that I feel like may arise with the free-to-play stuff that they're not really touching on yet, because we still don't really know what multiplayer-wise is gonna be free-to-play, unless it literally, they're saying, it's just gonna be everything, but I feel like there's a little bit more to it than that. We still need to see, but overall, this blog post and the trailer really, really impressed me. Jumping over to the article by Joe Staten really quick, where he hits on the structure of how this free-to-play multiplayer is gonna work, starting with the first season being called Heroes of Reach, which explains a lot actually. It explains why all the armor we keep seeing in the initial art for multiplayer is super Reach inspired. But this kind of also raises the question, if all the armor that we've seen from the past year, all the really good looking, super exciting Halo Infinite armor, is it all actually going to be there at launch, or is maybe some of it from Seasons 2 or 3? I'm fine with Seasons being in Halo Infinite as long as there is like a lot of armor there at launch. Like, I'm not talking like Halo 5, like a bunch of duplicates of a bunch of garbage, like none of that. If there's quality over quantity, I don't want just an outrageous amount of terrible armors. I just want a lot of customization options that are true to Halo's aesthetic, which it seems like most of the armor in this game is gonna be. So as long as they're there at launch and there's a substantial amount, I'm fine with them kind of doing this season thing like they're talking about. And as long as they're not locking, integral customization options behind broken monetization systems, I'll be fine with it. Which once again they don't really touch on here, besides once again saying that there will not be loot boxes, which is good. Heard that a billion times, but still good to know. He also mentions the Yuri armor, which we saw in the trailer, which looks sweet, by the way. I think that thing looks beautiful. He did mention that that can be unlocked for free by playing events in the first season of Halo Infinite's multiplayer. So like everything else, I think that sounds great. Still a little cautiously optimistic about a little, structure of the game, monetization, free to play, because we still don't really know that much. But overall, very, very impressive. Now I just want to hit on a few things in the trailer that I thought were pretty cool. First of all, the music was beautiful as usual with everything with this game. Also, this map right here, seemingly set in some kind of city, looks very cool. Aesthetically, I love the look of it. And it kind of reminds me of something from like Halo 2. I just thought it looked very neat. The Halo Infinite chopper looks beautiful. Look at this thing. It is insanely cool. Along with like a Banshee design we see, I just love the designs of them. I think they look great. I will say I'm not completely sold on a lot of the sound design of the weapons in this trailer. It's still kind of hard to judge right now, but a lot of them just, for me, seem to be lacking the kick they needed, like the grav hammer. I thought that was kind of disappointing. The sniper sound, the BR sound, I don't know how to feel about it. I'm like all over the place. I gotta probably form an opinion on that. But I guess I'll probably get used to it. But a lot of the sounds, at least in the trailer, didn't really impress me, which is a big part of the game, sound design, so we'll have to see. It is cool that this little academy on this map is named the Avery Johnson Academy of Military Science. That's a nice little reference. Also, we actually get to see the skewer in-game, and it's huge and looks like a ton of fun to use. It just looks pretty sweet. Also, Oddball is back with a pretty awesome-looking skull, and I think, if I'm not wrong, this is the ODST helmet, I think, which I'm really excited to see. Love that helmet being back. We can also see in the trailer that the drop wall can be shot out in different parts, which I think is a very cool addition. Really differentiates it from the bubble shield. Once again, I think they're doing equipment right from what I've seen. We'll just have to see when, in the final build of the game. And finally, like I already mentioned, that Yuri armor that we already discussed does look very sweet, and I cannot wait to unlock it and get my hands on it. So yeah, guys, I think that is literally everything. I went through all the articles, I went through the trailer, went through everything with this game, and I'm decently satisfied. I really cannot tell you guys how much I love this reveal. I've already watched this trailer dozens of times now, and I cannot tell you the last time I saw a trailer like this that I was just so instantly hooked, and I could just tell you that I know it's gonna be fun. Like, I just kept saying this looks fun, which I really don't say about a lot of game trailers. Maybe I've just been in a good mood lately with like E3, but especially like Battlefield 2042, I said the same thing. And this looks fun. It looks like Halo. It looks perfect. I truly think it looks perfect. The small qualms I have here and there hopefully will be resolved by launch, and I just need a little bit more information about the free-to-play nature of the game, but a perfect reveal for the multiplayer. This is what this game needed, and I'm super satisfied. I can't wait for Infinite to release, and this was just a, like I said, very impressive showing. Yes, obviously, like I said at the beginning, I wanted to see more. I think we should have seen more for how big of a property Halo is when it comes to Xbox, and especially I was expecting, at least a release date or something, but in terms of what we did get, I think it looked phenomenal, and we will be getting more very, very soon. So actually, tomorrow we will be getting a Halo Infinite multiplayer overview that will show more gameplay and insights from the team that does debut at 8 AM Pacific time on youtube.com/Halo. So I'm sure we will have more to talk about tomorrow. I'm sure I'll probably have another video out if it's substantial enough. So I'm super excited about that. Then there's going to be a Mark 7 cosplay guide on Tuesday. On Wednesday, we're getting cannon fodder. On Thursday, we'll be getting a breakdown of the trailer that we saw today from the devs. Also on Thursday, we will be getting the next Inside Infinite update, this time focused on Halo Waypoint and some more customization stuff. So that is a lot to look forward to, and I cannot wait. At this point, I literally just want this game to have a release date and come out. The multiplayer trailer today sold me so much more than I could have ever imagined. I thought it was beautiful, I loved it, and I I cannot wait. So what did you guys think of the multiplayer reveal for Halo Infinite? Do you like the direction it seems to be heading in? And do you have any concerns about gameplay, free-to-play, monetization, equipment, anything like that? Let me know your thoughts on all of those things in the comments down below. And thank you all for watching Majestic Gaming.